What's up, guys? So, today I had one of the most recurring thoughts that I tend to have in a day to day basis, but I had never gotten my mind together on it enough to warrant creating a stream on it. So, this is going to be my official attempt at addressing this thing that is in my mind constantly. Hey, Dan. So, emotional zombies versus emotionally needy people. What do I mean by that? So, when it comes to emotional zombies, I feel like I interact with these kinds of people very, very often. It happens in a daily fashion, to tell you the truth. I see them at work, I see them out in the public, I have them in my personal life. They're just all over the place. I describe someone as an emotional zombie when, for some reason, they cannot display any kind of emotion whatsoever, and especially positive emotions. Let it be in a romantic way, in a complimenting way, in a friendship way, or even family bond type of way. So at work, the experience that I have with emotional zombies is that you see them show up and okay, they may get their job done, which is good. That's what we're there for. But you can tell that they are just absent minded. Everything about their day, it's they are completely off. They don't feel well. They are not really um what can I say? If you try to interact with them on more complex matters, they tend to have a very limited or very limiting opinion. And that is, if you were to ask them to elaborate on an opinion that they may have, particularly in politics, it seems that their contributions are limited because they themselves have a limited exposure to the matters, or even worse, they may be apathetic to the point that they don't consider worth it to be on top of those things. I understand that at some point I used to be someone who did not spend any time finding out about what's going on in the country, what's going on in the world at all. And I would do that precisely so that I would not add stress to my day. But when I notice that this has become the norm, like it is cool and normal to be just out of touch and ignorant on a lot of matters, it kind of worries me. So at work, I define emotional zombies, those who are there for the commitment of you are at work because you got bills to pay, but it's not like you are excited about where you are at and what you are doing, which I understand that I have those symptoms as well. Like sometimes the toughest part about the job for me, you can imagine, is having to interact with people because sometimes I need my space, sometimes I need to be quiet, sometimes I need to be isolated. But when you work at a job in which you have to constantly project yourself and interact with people regularly, that mess gets intimidating. So, moving on from that, when it comes to friendships, the emotional zombies that I personally encounter are those who seem to not have as much interest or investment in the stuff that they were used to. Like, let's say that I know a friend because we used to play video games or something. It's like, of course, we have grown, our interests are going to shift a little bit, but it seems like they are completely letting go of that persona and they are embracing other things, which is good because I do expect for everyone to change. I know I have changed, but just because you're changing and shifting your interests does not mean that you're actually invested into your newfound interest. It's like Your mind is not there for whatever reason. You do not feel excitement, energy, drive on anything that you're doing. And then when it comes to a friendship note, sometimes you may share a piece of information with this person, and for some reason, they do not react in the manner that you expect at all. Sometimes you may say something without really anticipating feedback, but other times, a simple, I'm proud of you, good job, or nicely done, or a compliment if you're worried something different and they like it. Anything like that can go a long way, but I hear often that people admit that they don't say nice things as often as they feel like they should because they feel shyness. And I personally have been there a few times myself where I see a girl with some leggings that I like and I want to be like, hey, nice leggings. But first of all, I don't want to look weird or sound weird being like, oh, I notice what you're wearing over your legs, right? But on top of that, it's just the act of saying something nice to someone. It seems overwhelming and challenging. So I want to say something nice, but at the same time, I'm getting in my own way of doing that. And I personally know how great it feels to receive compliments, but I cannot give compliments because, in that aspect, I am emotionally zombified. And I guess it is because in my personal life, I really do not get reinforcement from that. But that is something that we are going to get to in a little while. And then when it comes to relationships, this is going to be like the most frustrating aspect of this. But even when it comes to dating, I feel like everyone who I encounter in my life is a goddamn zombie. And even the ones who are not zombies are precisely the folks who, for whatever reason, you cannot get together with. So, in my personal experience, it's like I have been involved with guys who, for some reason, I will never understand this. I will never understand why is this a thing or what's so difficult about this. But for some reason, the guy does not ever, ever, ever have anything nice to say. Never a compliment, never a simple, I'm proud of you for accomplishing this and that, or you look nice today, or you look beautiful today, this and that. And I'm like, fortunately, I'm not someone who's personally needy like that, but once in a while, it is awesome to hear from your guy that, you're looking good or that they feel proud to have you because in a sense if you go the extra mile to compliment someone, I would expect it's because you like what you have, you like what you see, you enjoy having it, and you enjoy the effort that the girl puts behind the scenes to be, her best with you, whatever. Well, for me, I guess I have become an emotional zombie myself because I got used to not being told nice things and only be prepared to. The only time I would receive feedback from a boyfriend is whenever they had something negative to say. Like, let it be, I'm stressing out too much, or I am nagging too much. And I'm like, if I say something, it is a problem. If I don't speak at all, it is an even bigger problem because then you're assuming something is wrong when nothing is wrong. And it's like, what the hell happened? Why in this day and age are we struggling so much with emotions? Is it the fault of technology because we're no longer bonding or communicating with each other or hanging out with each other like we are meant to and are used to? Or just what is going on? Because I don't think that everything in life, when it comes to social interactions, should feel this discouraging and this frustrating. And it's not even an individual thing. When I hear other people having conversations like this, I realize that we all suffer from the same problem. We are on the receiving end, but we are also on the inflicting end. And there is nothing much more frustrating for me than that. It's great to hear that people can relate, but at the same time, if people can relate, this is a problem that's more common than you may think. And for some reason, I feel like we're not talking about it enough. But, anyways, maybe The reason we don't talk about it enough is because it's not a big enough of a problem to be addressed as such. But anyways, that's beside the point. But for me personally, it's just weird. It's just so weird that I end up putting myself in situations like that, and even because I got accustomed to being treated like that, when I try to imagine myself being in that position where I am the giver of compliments, where I am the emotionally supportive kind, which as a woman, I believe that I'm supposed to be nurturing that stuff. It's like if I were to have children, what the fuck would I tell them? How would I guide them through that? So I don't feel like I'm ready for my maternal role at all if I am going to be failing at the very thing that I'm supposed to be designed to handle. So when it comes to emotionally needy person, this is where it's going to get a little messy for me. I feel like I used to be in the category of being an emotionally needy person. I always wanted to be appreciated, I wanted to be admired, and shit, even feel enticing. But now it's like, I don't care. I don't want to sound like I'm overconfident or like I have the fumes really up there in my brain. But it's just weird because as someone who did not get any kind of reinforcement, I guess I got used to it. And now, if I were to come across an emotionally needy guy in my life, I wouldn't know how to handle it. I would think that he needs to just learn to just cope by himself and just stay away from me. I'll be the kind who's pushing him away and like shutting him out. And I have actually done that many, many, many times. So I just wonder, is that a bad thing? Am I turning into a terrible person? Am I simply incompatible with this person? Or is there something that needs to be addressed in there? Because quite frankly, I don't know. I feel like I'm landing in hot waters very often when it comes to this type of situation because it's either I am saying too many things, not saying enough, expressing too much emotion, not expressing enough emotion, or, it's like I cannot find that balance. I am very disoriented, and I just sometimes feel like I don't want to have anything to do with anybody, especially if it's only going to complicate my life. But then, as soon as stuff like that happens, I end up regretting it. And I'm like, oh, please, I'll make it work and I'll try to work this out and let's just, be together. And, but as someone who got tired of having to be the one chasing someone, now that I can say I genuinely do not care anymore, it's like, is that going to be a negative thing for me in the future if I were to try to build a real, true, solid, firm relationship? Or is that simply me learning the lessons of what dating as an older person is going to be at a younger age? Because based on my mother's experiences, for example, after she went through my father, it's like she was never ever excited or treated relationships the same. So it's like, is that how I'm condemned to be? Is that how everyone is condemned to be when you have so many failed attempts? But I don't know, guys. I thought that I would bring this up because when it comes to emotionally needy people, I know what it's like to be emotionally needy. But when you've been pushed away and neglected for so long, you just learn to be all right with not having your needs met or fulfilled. And it even feels like you're, what is it? Brewing some sort of resentment because a lot of the things that I do, I feel like I have this angry energy within me, but at the same time, you cannot tell because I don't let it make me be all bitter about it. It's like I have my needs that are not being met. Like I'm miserable, but at the same time, I don't like to project that. I only project that in my personal life. But but it's just weird. Why are we treating that like it's an acceptable way to be? See what I mean? So, anyways, I thought that I would put that out there and hear what you guys have to say. So, I'm gonna catch up with the comments. Jerry says hello. I say hello. The future could be bleak if the emotional zombies keep multiplying. Yeah, tell me about it. It's like, what can I say? There is this conversation going on all the time about how people need to just hold it together better. What does it mean to hold it together better? Does it mean you don't say as much? Does it mean that you guard your emotions, overprotect yourself, not get involved out of fear of your life complicating due to others' involvement in it? Or does it mean that you just not care? You know, like I like to feel like I belong to something, to someone, like I matter to someone. So the only way for me to feel that is if I see someone who is invested and trying and overall consistency. But if if failing at something remains normal and not addressed, and the moment you bring it up, that person gets upset, I don't think it's worth it. So we are now hitting a point where we are tolerating that because it's the experience that we have encountered human after human after human after human. It's become the normal thing. So, how do we prevent these zombies from multiplying? But are the zombies just naturally zombies, or are they a product of the times? Are they being affected by what's going on in the times? What I mean by that is everyone has to work a lot. People are worried about their futures. People are worried about their finances. I know that will stress anybody out. When you're stressed out, you're just not the same fucking person. So, why are we okay with this? What are we doing to make things better? That is what I'm asking. I am someone who is incredibly proactive. So, if I bring something up, it's because I have made an observation and I am ready to tackle it. I may have a solution, but if you're constantly rejecting it, then what the fuck are we doing? You know, that's where my frustration really comes from. I have energy, I have the drive, but anyone whom I get paired up with, something gets in the way. Oh, I'm too tired, or oh, I have work the next day, or we're too far away, or, just all I hear is fucking excuses. But I don't see any proactiveness. I don't see what we are doing to make our experience better. Like, collaboration, where is it? So that's the trap that I'm in currently. It's like I just don't know where to go from this, and if I try to do anything about it, I get treated like I'm the person who's needy or attached or nagging or a bug, and I'm like, no, I'm just pointing out the problem. So, but anyways, I thought that I would just mention that because I'm sure I am not the only person who's been in a situation like that. People are so personally involved in their own heads, they don't really listen or get involved with others. Oh my God, on the note of listening, that is so true. Because in the past, anytime I have had an argument with any of my boyfriends, it's always been that I say my point, I can be calm, serene, or I can be upset, shouty. But no matter what, you are so focused on the reply that you have for me that the moment I go quiet, that's when you start bombarding me, but you're not actively listening to what I'm saying. And another experience that I have had that's been super sickening is whenever I have something to say and then the guy decides to tell me, oh, I'm not going to let you talk because I know what you're going to say. No, you fucking don't. You think that you know what I am going to say, but you still have not given me the chance to express it. What if it's different? Maybe the problem still exists precisely because you have been focused on what you're getting ready to tell me and reply to my stuff with, that you passively listen, you hear my noise, but you're not actually interpreting the message. And that is why you start complaining later that we're fighting over the same stuff that we fought, I don't know, years ago or weeks, days ago. And I'm like, well, had you listened to me the first time when I was telling you about it, this problem would not be happening. So, once again, that's where I say people are emotional zombies. You are not paying attention, you're not as involved, invested, and you have the nerve to somehow blame the other person for it. When, in a sense, I would say both parties are at fault, because if you can catch the person neglecting you or not paying attention to you, the conversation should not proceed. Because once it concludes, if it ever concludes, you're not accomplishing anything, for the issue is not being tackled. It seems to be more of a war of egos. Who can get louder and who can last longer in the fight? That's honestly how it has been in my personal experiences. But anyways, I thought I would mention that because as frustrating as it is, I still find it fascinating because everyone is just different. You're not finding the right guy. Your generation has somehow become numb to positive interactions and etiquette. That is so true. So freaking true. Because when I hear stories of folks who are older than me and they share their their business, I'm like, what is the matter? Where are those people at? Why am I not finding them? Where did they go? So it becomes a frustrating experience because it shouldn't be this difficult. It really should not be this difficult. But somehow, it has become this difficult. So I'm just trying to just, hold it together and I just ramble about it. But it's insane. It's insane to me. And seeing the value in those things, the word is empathy. Yeah, that's a negative thing, Zimmer. When it comes to empathy, you're right. I do find that when it comes to empathy, it's really not being expressed or practiced as well as it used to at some point in time. It's like if you were to ask me to name an example of a time I felt that I was being empathetic, genuinely empathetic and not empathetic, just so that the problem it like is averted or we escape from it, concluded, whatever. It's been a hell of a long time. I could not even name you an example. Like, say, if I'm in a setting where I'm supposed to understand where someone is coming from with their frustration and being upset, it's like, deal with it. Like, there are real problems out there that people have in the world, and we're not making a big deal about it. So, why am I supposed to be concerned over your little issue again? Like sometimes I feel like I'm a terrible person when I'm at my job, for example, because sometimes people may say, "Oh, I came here specifically for this product and y'all don't have it. I'm disappointed." And I'm like, I mean, maybe we sold it, or maybe at another store we have it, or maybe, but you try to make me feel bad that we did not have it for you. And then I'm thinking, you are just annoyed at the inconvenience that you may have to go the extra mile or two in your comfortable car to get whatever it is that you're looking for. But for some reason, you're acting like that is a humongous burden. And for me personally, if I go to point A and point A doesn't have what I am looking for, I can keep going. I can keep searching. I'm not in a hurry. To me, it's not an inconvenience because I go out prepared to deal with inconveniences. So that degree of patience has definitely become defunct. And I think that we need to work on that. We could be a whole lot better. And it's difficult for me to feel empathetic towards someone when the problem is very trivial. In my opinion, that's trivial. Like I have stuff that I can truly be upset about, but something like that, it's trivial in my mind at least. But I understand that not everyone is going to agree with me because maybe people only have access to point A, and that's why they rely on point A to carry everything that they are looking for. But make a plan with your days a whole lot better. Don't become negative, find your true self. Yeah, on that note, it took me a long time, believe me. It took me a long time to understand what words like that meant. What does it mean to respect yourself? What does it mean to love yourself? And now it's like, you know what? it may sound to other people like you're really full of yourself, but I'm like, no, sometimes you need to pamper yourself. And that's something that I was not doing. I was so afraid of becoming so self centered and egotistical and whatever that I was letting go of myself. And I realized that that's where the problem is at. So, it's tricky, it's crazy, it's something that is common sense, but it's very easy to miss because you're not conscious about it. If you remain conscious about it, that's when you catch yourself before stuff gets out of control and you do much better at it. But it is very easy to let go of yourself when you don't have it present in your mind. So that's something that I had to just learn how to do. Not natural at all. Fight for your true essence and don't ever lose it. It's inside of you and it's still there. It takes work. Absolutely. Everything in life just takes work. But I guess when all of your life is becoming work and nothing but work and work and work, it's very easy to just get lost in that cycle. Because ever since I turned like 18 years old, all of life has felt like constant work, mental fatigue, physical fatigue, all kinds of fatigues, even to the point that if I'm at home, I feel like I am working, even though I am clearly not. But I'm still trying to do things to build up to have a better, brighter, more stable future somehow. So it's like the place where I'm supposed to just arrive at and crash and just chill. It's become an extension of my daily life, my daytime hours. See what I mean? Hi, Robert, and hello, Viking. And Mike says, I came in late. It's cold and raining in your place. Don't be upset. No good outcome causes indigestion, brings on wrinkles. Have a cookie. Yeah, it's actually been a yucky kind of weather around here. And yeah, it is cold because my hands are feeling cold. But you're right. I realized that having a positive attitude is the most important thing about all. At some point, it's like I don't want to sound stupid and say that being positive costs a lot. And because it's not, it's like I was mentioning earlier, it feels like everything is a burden all of a sudden. But it just gets draining. You want for things to go right for you at least once, and it seems that you're just swimming forever just to drown at the shore. See what I mean? But anyways, you're right. Normally I don't get upset. It's like I internalize it, and then after I process it, that's when I decide to complain and rant about it, cuz that's the difference between me from a year, 2, 3, 4 years ago versus present day me. It's like, okay, the BS happens and I let go of it immediately. It's like I experienced the disappointment the moment it happens, and after that, it's like I just keep going. But there are other things that I feel like I cannot just move on from them. They need to be actively resolved. And if any of you ever have a conversation with me and it sounds like I'm screaming for mercy, it's because it's a process that's just old. And when something gets old, you want to get rid of it and either replace it with something new or just let it out of your life entirely. So that's where I am at, just finding that harmony, that balance. But at least more good stuff is happening to me than not. It's just I tend to not be very patient when it comes to certain things, and that's where I feel like I am at. It's like, okay, it's been a little while. It's about time that some stuff just worked for me. So now it's like I'm aggressively being a go getter, which is not a good attitude to have because if you're doing stuff in a hurry, which here I like to mention a lot that you should just be patient and like don't drive like an animal, but it gets to you. It gets to you. Stuff gets old and you're ready for better things to just happen. Exactly, that is the key. Catching yourself is the key. It's more energy to deal with the drama than just catching yourself. True to that. Well, guys, that's pretty much it from my end. I really don't have anything else to add or anything else to say. I'm sure that this is a topic that I may revisit in the future with more examples or actual stories to tell. It's just I needed to get this out of my system because I feel like it's something that the progress is so slow at it that it really tries me. So, but anyways, this is not really me trying to like throw shade at everyone who surrounds me in my life. It's just we could be better. And I see the potential in people and I am trying to push it, trigger it, bring it out of them. And somehow it's not happening. And I wonder why. And then I try to put myself in their place. If I were in that situation, what would work for me? And definitely being bugged about it is not the way to be. However, if it's been a while and you see no action, your tone has to change because clearly your normal tone has not had an effect. So, how about a more aggressive one, which or assertive one? I don't want to say aggressive. It's not like I'm violent or anything, but anyways, I guess you just gotta give stuff more time than you have already dedicated to it. But anyways, I thought that I would put that out there for the record. All right, guys. I think I'ma conclude this here, and I'll return at some point with something maybe more exciting as opposed to a big